Hi everybody, Hassan Shariq, regulated Canadian immigration consultant, back with another video on Canadian immigration. We're discussing various PNP programs of Canadian immigration, which are open to applicants in 2021, and more specifically, recently we've been discussing this international skilled worker stream under Saskatchewan Immigrant Nominee Program. This is the second part of the same video, and we are going to discuss some further details of this program, so stay tuned. In the previous video, we discussed about international skilled worker category of SINP, in which we discussed the general assessment grade, the basic eligibility, and all those details. And in that video, I mentioned that I will be talking on a few other aspects of this particular program in the upcoming video. So here we have that video. And in today's video, the topics that we're going to touch upon will be, first of all, we'll see what is the difference between OID and EE streams, the occupation in demand, and the express entry stream of this particular category. After that, we'll have a look at occupations that are excluded. In the previous video, there were a few comments that I received where people were not really sure as to which professions are excluded. Then we'll have a look at some of the recent draws that have happened, and I'll share how you can look for the knock that you have and how you could possibly see which knocks are in high demand. In an upcoming video, I will tell you how to submit an expression of interest. So that will be something that we'll have to wait. For now, let's proceed with the topics for today's video. So first of all, the difference between the two subcategories of international skilled worker category under Saskatchewan Immigrant Nominee Program. So one is called the EE Express Entry, and the other is called OID, Occupation in Demand. The major difference between the two is that to apply for the express entry stream, you must meet the basic eligibility requirements for express entry. I've made other videos which talk about the basic eligibility requirement. You could have a look at that. Generally, you must have a certain IELTS, you must have certain education, and some other requirements. So you can only apply for that particular stream if you meet the basic eligibility of express entry, and at the same time you have an active express entry profile. The OID stream, occupation in demand stream, is where you're not required to fulfill the basic requirements of express entry, and neither are you required to have an express entry profile. Now, how does that impact an application, or how does that really affect? As I mentioned, for EE, you must first have a live express entry profile. Once you have that profile, only then can you proceed with submission of expression of interest under this category. For OID, occupation in demand, you can submit your expression of interest without the express entry profile. In terms of draws, we will discuss that a little later, but whenever there is a draw for this particular category, we see that they have some invitations for express entry and some invitations for OID. So these are two different invitations. Now, applicants who are under OID, they might fulfill the requirements for Saskatchewan, but they might be missing out on certain other requirement which is under express entry. So I'll give you an example. Number one, if you have an IELTS score where maybe in one module you have a 5.5, you do not meet the requirements for express entry. But if somehow you are able to, you have that profile, you have 5.5 in IELTS, but otherwise your points are such that you're able to score more than 60 points for the Saskatchewan grid, you can still submit your application for OID and you can be invited and then nominated. So if you're invited under OID, then the application process is, in both cases, express entry invitation or OID invitation from Saskatchewan. You submit your application to the province. If you get nominated under OID, then it is the paper PR application that you have to submit. Whereas if it is the express entry stream where you get your invitation, once you have the final nomination, that nomination will be uploaded in your express entry profile and then you'll move through that. So keep in mind that for OID, other than the the provincial nomination process, rest of your application will be a paper-based application and it can take long. Next up is professions which are excluded. So as I mentioned in the previous video, only NOC 0A and B are eligible for this particular category. So if you have a NOC C or D, automatically that's excluded. But even within the NOCs which are eligible, which are NOC 0A and B, there is a list that the province has shared on the website. So if you go on the Saskatchewan Immigrant Nominee Program website, you are able to find the list of excluded professions. I'll share the link in the description of the video. And for those who are still not able to find it, because it's going to be the web page which I will share, and then you on that particular web page you have to go and download a file. If you're not able to find it, just comment in the comment section that you're not able to find the excluded profession list, or you want the excluded profession list, and we can provide you with that. Engineering professions such as petroleum engineers, aerospace engineers, landscape architects, urban and land use planners, these are excluded. Dentists, general practitioners, family physicians, optometrists, pharmacists, dietitians, physiotherapists, these are all excluded. Secondary school teachers, a lot of people inquire about it. So secondary school teachers, elementary, kindergarten teachers, these are excluded. Judges, lawyers, these are excluded. Journalists, these are excluded. Who else? Graphic art technicians, these are excluded as well. Some other professions, there's a long list. As I mentioned, it's about 100. Some of the prominent ones that I thought I'd share, these are excluded. So repeating, if you have a NOC C or D, you're not eligible for any of the two streams under the international skilled worker category of Saskatchewan Immigrant Nominee Program. And if your profession is part of this list of excluded professions, this list was initially shared somewhere in October 2019, you're not eligible to submit your expression of interest under this category. Now let's have a look at the recent draws, some analysis on that, and discuss some of the professions and how you can look for specific professions which probably have a high probability of being invited, some professions which are eligible but which have really not seen much interest in terms of being invited, and also how the draws, the results of different draws can be assessed and interpreted. So if you go on the website of Saskatchewan Immigrant Nominee Program, and if you are at International Skilled Worker EOI system, that is where on that page you will see probably at the last major tab is EOI selection results, and you have the option of downloading these results. Again, this is a PDF file. If you're not able to find it, just mention that in the comment section, and myself or my social media team will try and provide that to you. But once we open this list, Yeah. So this list will provide you all the draws which have been conducted for last about year and a half by Saskatchewan. And if you look at this file, you have the date of invitation. So the recent one happened on 7th of January 2021. And then you see the category, which is express entry or occupation in demand, where I was mentioning that there are two subcategories under this. Now, usually the cutoff score on their own grade, and I've mentioned the point scoring on the Saskatchewan grade in the previous video. Usually for both subcategories, it is same. So if you see in the recent one, it is 71 and 71 for both. Occasionally, very occasionally, that it is different. With one, it can be 71, another it can be 70, but usually it is same. But if you have a look at the number of candidates invited, so under express entry, they've only invited 148 candidates in this particular draw. Under OID, they've invited 237. And same way, you can scroll down and you can see the different draws that happen. Saskatchewan is good that they do draws pretty frequently. So usually, if you see, there is a draw every month or so, sometimes twice a month as well. They don't invite a very large number of applicants, but they do it frequently. Now, the last column that you'll see is where you have the knock code of people who are invited. So in the most recent one, if you see in OID, for express entry, there is something like these 30 different knocks that you have, and they've mentioned all these knocks. Again, in most of the draws, the knocks that are invited under OID and express entry are same, but there can be differences. Like sometimes under one, they would invite, say, maybe 30 knocks. In the other, it might actually be 28. One or two knocks might not be invited, but usually it is the same. Now, these knocks that are there, if you scroll down and do some analysis, um, there is a possibility that some knocks were there in some draws and are not there anymore. And there is a possibility that there is a knock code which is not there right now and it can be added. Important thing to note. So if you go and have a look at the list of knock codes, the exhaustive list, and you see knock 0 AB, and then you look at the list of excluded knocks, excluded professions, there is a large number of knocks which are there, which are eligible, but which might not still be invited. So if you have an eligible knock, that does not mean that you will be invited right away. So that's it for today's video, which was the second video of our series of videos for international skilled worker category under SINP. There will be one or two more videos where I will, in one particular video, I will try and explain the expression of interest system, how to submit your expression of interest for this particular PNP stream. And we are also going to talk about in the same video or another video the licensing requirement that SINP has. Just a bit of a brief on that if you have a profession which requires a licensing to practice in the province, professions like some engineering professions require license, even some IT professions require a license. You must have initiated your licensing process to apply if you're applying for SINP nomination. Hopefully in today's video you would have gained some more knowledge and information about this particular program, an attractive program that I personally believe. And that's it from my side for this particular video. Do share your feedback. Do support the channel by liking, by sharing it with others, subscribing so that you get to know about all these different immigration programs and streams of Canadian immigration. And I will be back with another video very soon. Till that time, take very good care of yourself and your families. Bye bye.